In this video, we're going to do a recap of Learning Target 3.2.3, which is to graph inequalities. So this says to graph the given inequality to find the solution set. And we are given y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 3. Quick reminder of our symbols that are super important. So our less than symbol looks like this. I just imagine it looks like an L that you kind of squished. And then less than or equal to, greater than, and greater than or equal to. So you need to know those four to be able to do this learning target. So first things first, I begin with B. So this is my B value. So I go up to 3 and I put a dot. Then I move with M, which is negative 2. So what that really means is my slope is rise over run. So this is negative 2 over 1, meaning I'm going down 2 and over to the right 1. So I'm going down 2 over to the right 1. Down 2 over to the right 1. Down 2 over to the right 1. So now inequalities are a little bit different than just graphing lines. Up to this point, it's pretty much the same. But what we want to look at is two things. So the next thing we want to do is figure out if this is going to be a dashed or solid line. And that is completely dependent on the inequality symbol. So this one says less than or equal to. If it has the or equal to part, we are going to have solid lines. That means the line is included in the solution. If it did not have the line underneath, we were going to have a dashed line, meaning that that line is not part of the solution set. So you can get really close to it, but you can't actually touch it. So this is going to be a solid line, and you should use a ruler for yours, but it should look something like this. And we want to go all the way through both sides of the graph, because the next part is also different from just regular lines. Now we need to shade. The shading really focuses on the fact that like this line is now cutting the graph in half. And we want to figure out which part is the solution set. So to figure out that, so to shade, we want to plug in 0 for x. So we're going to have y is less than or equal to negative 2 times 0 plus 3. Well, anything times 0 is 0, so that just ends up canceling and leaving us with y is less than or equal to 3. Now, this number doesn't matter so much as the actual symbol, and this is saying it is less than 3. So to shade, I'm basically looking at my graph. Here is 3 on the y-axis. And it's saying that if y is less than 3, well, my numbers that are less than 3 are this way. So that means this half, this entire half of the graph is shaded. So you can go ahead and scribble that in. And that means all of this shaded region is a solution. So a couple things that weren't part of this example, but that you might need to know. One, if we divide by a negative, we would have needed to flip our sign. So if you divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. 2, if we were originally given an inequality that said something like 2x minus 3y is greater than 12, remember to solve these kinds, or to graph these kinds, you have to actually plug in a value, and that value is 0. So to find our x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y. And to find our y-intercept, we have to plug in 0 for x. We would have 2 times 0 minus 3y is greater than 12. Then once we actually solve these, so let's say I solve this whole one and I get x is greater than 6. I put that on the x-axis at 6. then let's say I solve this one and I get y is less than -4. In this solving process, you would have had to divide by a negative, so you would flip your sign. So y is -4, which is about here. And then we would connect our dots in a line. And then your y-intercept, your y-intercept, all this work tells you where to shade. So you look at your final step, it says y is less than -4, so we would shade below this, which is all of this side. Okay, so I just wanted to go through a very quick example of when it's not in slope-intercept form, when it looks like this. But this is a summary of Learning Target 3.2.3, which is to graph an inequality.